Hello everybody. I hope that you're having an incredible day so far. Welcome to the beginning Dreamwork workshop. I'm super excited to have this time with you guys. I don't go live on this channel very often. It's usually on my main channel, which is every Monday, so it's good to see you guys. And if you are totally new to me, this channel, what I do, hello, my name is Haley, and I run the channels The Lucid Mystic and The Lucid Mystic's Sleep Music. I focus my work on dream work and tying that in with personal development so you can live the life of your dreams and create it through your dreams at night. So I am so happy to be here with you guys. And for those of you who are just a part of this channel, you are going to be familiar with the sleep music I make on this channel, but on my main channel, that's where I make how-to videos, courses, classes, and basically anything to do with dream work, dreams, sleep, all of that good stuff. On this channel, I collaborate with my business partner, Mitcha Lombard. So it's just him and I behind this channel and the music. We create everything from scratch, the music, the animations that you see, and now I'm offering courses for members. So that's another thing that I've been adding into this channel. So if you like the content on this channel, and maybe you want to know a little bit more of how to actually use your dreams with this music or whatever it may be, then make sure to check out The Lucid Mystic. And before we get into the dream workshop, I want to just give you a quick rundown on how dreaming has impacted my life, why it means so much to me, and why I'm passionate about teaching it in the way that I do in my business. Hello, little Zach. Thank you so much for joining. Love your content. Thanks for everything. Helps me in my baby sleep. That is music to my ears. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for letting me know the impact that it has. That's what's really important to me, is knowing what this music does for you guys and who's listening. That's really what keeps me going. So thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad that you enjoy. And as far as the music we make on this channel, we're always wanting to innovate and try new things. We do make each batch of tracks. We do them in month batches. So we're always down to hear you guys' feedback if there's anything specific you're wanting more of, maybe some more delta frequencies, maybe some higher 528 hertz frequencies, whatever it is. We love the feedback, and I'm always looking to kind of innovate the next month on this channel while still keeping that like consistent feel that you guys appreciate and that helps us get to sleep. I don't want to sacrifice that, but I still want to keep things fresh and creative, and so I hope that you guys are still liking the music. And of course, please let me know what you guys continue to think of it, because we're always working on creating some new stuff. Hello, it's 1:03 right here where I am. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's 5 p.m. right here, so we're a little bit of a time difference. One good thing to note is that this replay will be up, so if it's late for any of you guys, don't worry at all. I think it takes like less than 24 hours for the live stream to process, and then you will see it as a normal video. So, and I'll make sure to pin it into my live stream so you don't have to search through all of the tracks we're releasing to find it. Hello, Michael. How are you doing? So good to see you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. So that's a little bit of who I am, and as far as how dreaming has changed my life, dreaming has been a big part of my life basically forever. I've always been a dreamer. Even as I was a little girl, I was always daydreaming. I was having really weird dreaming experiences that I couldn't explain, and my first experiences with lucid dreams actually came in the form of nightmares. And the reason why that's a lucid dream is because on some level in a nightmare, when we're trying to wake ourselves up, for example, we know that we're dreaming, and that's what lucid dreaming really is a knowingness that we're in a dream while the dream is happening. And we're going to dive more into that in this workshop. I'll show you guys my favorite techniques, how to get started, how to start creating lucid dreams out of your dreams, and everything in between. But this just goes to say that dreaming and lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences and all of these weird things that we can't really explain when we're little, that has always been a part of my life. And dreaming came to me at a time where I really, really needed it. I had a ton of anxiety and depression growing up, and it got really, really bad in junior high school. And all of this stress and this worry caused my stomach lining, because we hold worry and fear, and our fight or flight completely stops our digestive system. And so this really impacted my physical body. And I had IBS, I had gastritis, ulcers. I wouldn't be able to eat or drink anything without intense pain. I was in the ER several times a week. I was on 8 medications. I was going to the best doctors in the state, and nothing was really working. And no one told me, first of all, that it was connected to my stress and my anxiety and constantly being in fight or flight. No one told me that. It was just, okay, well, let's try a little bit more of this medication. Let's try a little bit more of this medication. And I'm very sensitive to medication as it is, and trying to live and go to work and, be a normal human while going through chronic pain. It was horrible. I couldn't live. I couldn't hang out with anybody, let alone like get out of bed and be able to eat a meal. And it was at a time where it was right after I actually saw the best doctor in the state. And I remember feeling so defeated after that meeting with that doctor, because it took like almost a month to be able to even get in. And then the only thing that they told me is, the best I can do is give you like some ibuprofen, basically. And I remember I just broke down and I started crying in the actual office with this doctor, because it's like I feel like I tried everything at that point. I went to every single specialist. I tried every single medication that I could. I didn't have any answers. No one could even tell me what was going on, what was wrong. And that's when I had my first spontaneous lucid dream. And in this lucid dream, a character I got lucid on this random street, and in my dream, this character with long blonde hair, this guy, just parked his truck across the street and got out and came over to talk to me and was like, "Hey, I'm here to help you heal your stomach like you asked for." What? And I had no idea what to expect, because I didn't even know that this was possible in a lucid dream. And of course, I just said yes. I'm gonna go along with whatever the dream's trying to show me. And I remember us just walking down the street, him just like basically small talk. And he told me, "All right, we're pulling up on a house that's going to be off to our right. They're going to have a swimming pool in the back, and that's going to be your healing pool of water." I know this sounds so crazy. And he said, "I'll show you what to do when we get to it," basically. And once we got to this house, we went into the backyard, and it was just a family like barbecuing. "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" They didn't even care that we just kind of walked into their house and we're hanging out in the backyard. And I just remember him saying, "All right, get into the pool and just show your gratitude for your healing," as if it kind of already happened. And I just remember in this dream getting into this water, and it was so vivid, the feeling of the water. I could hear the water so vividly, the temperature of the water, the sun shining down. And I just remember doing exactly what the guy said, just "Thank you for my healing, thank you for my healing," and closing my eyes and focusing on the gratitude that healing is even possible. And then the dream started to act really weird. And again, this is my first like actual lucid dream that wasn't like a lucid nightmare from when I was little, so I had no idea what to expect from this state. But as I was holding my hands on my belly and saying "thank you for my healing" with my eyes closed, the sunlight connected to my hands on my belly. And sorry, my throat's kind of dry. And I remember the sunlight connected to my hands and went into my belly, and the whole dream just started shaking really intensely until it faded away. And I remember sitting up in bed and just going, "Whoa," because I had no idea what to expect. And after a couple minutes, I realized that was the first day in like 8 years that I didn't wake up from physical pain. And it took me a second to realize that, but after I realized what happened, I wanted to try to see how long I could go without taking those medications while still trying to connect to my dream space in this way. Like, there's clearly something to this dream space. It gave me an answer I was looking for without me even knowing that that's where I needed to go next. So there must be something to this. And since then, I have not taken that medication at all 8 of those medications. I actually remember going to get an endoscopy like 6 or 8 months after, and I actually have the medical records before this lucid dream and pictures from inside my stomach because I did an endoscopy both times. So it showed that something happened, and what they said before this dream experience was the pictures that they took on my stomach. They described it as scratches and erosions on my stomach. And they didn't necessarily tell me exactly what that's from, but I assume maybe it was just like weak stomach lining, not sure. But after, it was like 6 to 8 months after, and I had that endoscopy, and they're like, I'm not sure what you're doing, but it seems to be working. And then they asked me what I was doing. And because I was so excited, I started telling them about dreaming and lucid dreaming and all this stuff. And then me and the doctor just started talking about it. She's like, wow, that's really, I don't know if she believed me at first, but it got her to open it. She was talking to me about her dreams after that. And it just like opened up all of this inspiration for me of like, wow, what else is possible, you know? And of course, through anxiety or worry, if I ever had like an anxious flare-up or something, I would get some of that physical pain back, but it wasn't chronic. It drastically decreased. And since then, I've been able to really work on that and work even more with my dreams. And I've tested different things out with clients and people who watch the channel, people that I've worked with, you know, testing this out with menstrual cramps and skin conditions and headaches and being able to process emotion. And this work has just really just pushed me into this beautiful world of personal development where I really think dream work is needed. And usually with dream work online, I really don't see a lot of people talking about personal development or how to tie these two together, how we can use dreams to create better, happier, more peaceful lives, you know, that we deserve to live. And so I feel like that's where my job comes in, is to show you the power of dream work, show you the power within your consciousness that you already have, and how you can use it to create the life of your dreams. So that is my job, is to help you create the life of your dreams through your dreams. And that brings us into the benefits of dreaming. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Eric, it's not dropping YouTube notifications. I know, I think that happens on my main YouTube channel as well. Make sure, I'm not sure if you have notifications on this second channel. I know you just became a mod on it a couple days ago, so we might have to check on that. But yeah, let me know if you do have notifications on, because if not, it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? I prefer lower frequencies in sleep music. Absolutely. Me too. I definitely sleep with more delta tones. I find that it also helps with my techniques because they're so kind of low bassy waves. I find that it's kind of helpful for out-of-body techniques and stuff like that too. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. And again, if you have any questions throughout this process or anything, definitely let me know. But I'm going to just get into some of the benefits that I personally think are huge within Dreamwork. So the first one, we've already mentioned it a little bit, and it is processing emotion. Within our dream realm, this is the territory of our subconscious mind. And so anything that we haven't taken time to feel, if we were ever in a situation that really made us upset or angry, and maybe we just kind of didn't fully feel that emotion in the moment and kind of stored it for later, these things will show up in our dreams. And your dreams are really good at showing you what you're stressing out about, where your emotional state is, if there's anything that needs to be addressed. And so if you're ever wondering just kind of where you're at, looking at your dreams will really give you a lot of clarity. And there's several ways that we can do that. And we'll dive in a little bit more into that. But for example, the theme of the dream. What is the actual theme of the dream? What are you doing in your dream? Are you running from something? Are you celebrating something? Are you trying to find something? And then looking at the actual emotions present in your dream. What are the biggest emotions that you see within your dream? And those will really show you, it really shows you the connections between what's being shown to you in the dream and kind of what's being processed, either consciously or unconsciously. And so just look at little pieces of the dreams and just see how that could connect to what you're moving through emotionally or have moved through in the past. So processing emotion is a huge, huge one. And one other thing to note on that, deep sleep is where our physical body regenerates. That's where our scars heal or our wounds heal. That's where our nails grow, our hair grows. And so deep sleep is regenerative for the body. And REM sleep, when we're dreaming naturally, that's regenerative for the mind. And so we'll process a lot of memories, experiences, emotions during our REM sleep. And for those of you who are new to REM sleep is just the stage of sleep where we dream, and you may also use this state for techniques. A lot of lucid dreaming and out-of-body experience techniques will ask you to target your REM sleep. And so that's what it's asking you, is to target your REM dreaming sleep. And if you have like a Fitbit or something like that, a lot of those also track REM sleep. And so REM is very helpful for dream work because it lets you know when you're dreaming, and you'll be able to time that for some of your techniques. But yes, that's the role of REM sleep for the brain, and deep sleep is for the body. Another benefit of dreaming is personal insight. This can really give you a lot of juice for your life, whether it is new ideas, whether it is seeing something from a different perspective. The dream has a really amazing way at just showing you other perspectives of ways that you could see certain situations. And it also has a great way of showing you your desires, your passions, things that you care about. And so if you have ever felt kind of far away from your passions or your interests, sometimes the dream has a great way of bringing that information in to re-inspire you and to get those things back on your mind. But personal insight is very broad, and it can happen in a variety of ways through dream work, especially once we get into lucid dreaming, because once you are lucid in a dream, you can actually influence the dream and ask it questions and move around the experience. Lucid dreaming is really, really cool, and I'm excited to dive deeper into that with you guys today, because how our brain even interprets what's going on within the lucid dream is so, so powerful. And that's actually what allows us to heal physical pain, inflammation, things like that, because the brain thinks it's a real experience. There was even I think it was a Oxford sports science study where they actually used lucid dreaming to train their athletes for 60 days. And after the 60 days, I think it was like 60 to 74% of participants increased in speed, muscle mass, and accuracy just from lucid dreaming practice. And so this shows that the placebo effect really allows us to use the lucid dream state for training, for faster learning, because the brain sees it as a real experience. So that's one reason why it can have such a powerful impact on the mind and body. And it's cool that scientific research is starting to come out about this, because it shows we're not totally crazy with the incredible things we experience in our dreams, but there's actually a foundation behind that. And it's really cool that research is starting to come out about the just the power behind dreaming and lucid dreaming, and how it can actually improve and benefit our lives. Another one is problem solving. We know that. Have you ever heard, okay, I'm gonna sleep on it, and you wake up and you somehow have an answer? Our brains are so intuitive, and through dreaming we can access a lot of subconscious information that we may not even consciously know in waking life. For example, you may have a business, but you think that you have no more ideas left. You think that there's nothing else that you can do that will push you further in your business. Well, maybe that's just until you have a dream, or you have a lucid dream where you can access your subconscious mind. Our subconscious controls 95 to 99% of our brain. And The rest is our conscious mind. So as you can see, there's a whole universe of information about ourselves too that we don't get to consciously interact with. And that's where dreaming and lucid dreaming can really allow us to explore more of ourselves and get more out of the value we already have within that we don't even know. My sleep issues are because of spinal and migraines. I'm the one that requested it to be louder because of my tinnitus. The video did back a few weeks ago, 7 hertz. I play along with rain sound. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I do. I have to be careful with increasing some of the tracks because Mitcha creates these soundscapes with so many layers, and it can kind of distort the sound or the gain if it's too loud. So I have to like carefully increase it to like the perfect level where it's still like not sacrificing the quality, but it is still increasing the sound. I have been working on that though since I've seen your comment. The ones I have been editing and working on, I have been working on slightly increasing the bass and the volume, but doing it in a more balanced way. And I love that you use it with rain sound. That's amazing. I know I have a couple nature sounds from when I first started my channel that if that's beneficial to you, you can always check out. But I love combining nature sounds with binaural beats or solfeggio frequencies. I love that you do that. And I hope that it helps you, but thanks for letting me know. I'll also keep that in mind for my future tracks. Okay, another benefit to lucid or to dreaming in general that I love is, it kind of ties in with the last one, is creativity. There is so many ways to use your dream space for creativity. Did you know? I wish I could find the post. Maybe I can find it. But I made this post like a long time ago about all of the inventions that actually came from dreams. And I thought it was really interesting. Let me see if I can find it. I'll type in. Okay, I found it. Okay, these are some of the best inventions that were inspired by dreams. Number 1, Google. Yes, Google was inspired by a dream. It said, as a student, Larry Page had an irrational fear that he'd been accepted into Stanford University by mistake, which triggered an anxiety dream. He imagined that he could download the entire web onto some old computers lying around, so he got up in the middle of the night to do some math. When he realized it was plausible, he took 2 years out of studying to create what became Google. Imagine how different your daily life, indeed the modern world, would be if he hadn't had that dream. How cool is that? Another one is the sewing machine. It's kind of a long post. I don't want to read through every single blurb, but if you guys want the link to this, I will totally send it. So Google, the sewing machine, DNA strands were discovered through the work of dreams. Let's actually see that. Until Dr. James Watson saw a spiral staircase in a dream in 1953, no one had developed the idea of a double helix spiral structure of our DNA. In fact, thanks to sleeping that fateful night, Watson went on to win the Nobel Prize in Physiology for Medicine in 1962. Interesting. Another thing that was invented from the dreams is Einstein's theory of relativity. Frankenstein, the periodic table, the structure of an atom. Salvador Dali's famous Persistence of Memory melting clock painting was from a dream. And the Terminator. I think it's so interesting how the dream space can provide us with several layers of creativity. Some that are something as small as a movie that everyone will eventually know, to something as big as the structure of an atom or the periodic table. You know, like dreaming allows us to access untapped creativity, and there's so much more that is possible through dreaming than I think people give it credit for. Yeah, Eric, I know. That's a whole topic in itself. That's why I was like, I can't get into the whole backstory of all of these things, but it's because that would take up like way more than the entire workshop. But it's so interesting to see how dreaming has influenced these inventions or these ideas. And that's actually why I even have my business here as well. It's because I didn't even know that I would be able to make a living helping people with dreams or talking about dreams at all. And because of that healing experience, that's what led me into the idea of there has to be more to this. There has to be more that that people aren't seeing, you know? And I remember when I was trying to think of, like, at a time in my life, what I was even passionate about, all I could think about was dreams and consciousness. It's like, but that can't really be translated into a job where I can help people, or so I thought, right? I just decided to, well, whatever my heart wants to do, I'm just going to focus on trying to talk about that, whatever form it comes into. And I started talking about it online, and people started to have questions, and I just started to make more videos on it. And truly, I owe everything that I feel like I've created in my life to Dreamwork. It's incredible how it has changed not only my life, but other people's lives as well. I love hearing the stories of how people have been affected by Dreamwork. And the last little checklist for benefits of dreaming I have listed is healing. Now, this comes in several ways. I feel like we can process so many experiences and memories that allow us to heal our inner child. There's things that we can experience within the dream that allow us to heal other parts of ourselves outside of our inner child. So this is emotional healing, physical healing. I really am excited for more research to come out on, because that was my first experience with a spontaneous lucid dream like that. And since then, like I said, I'm so scientific with how I see these things. I really like to run my own experiments. I really like to test what works, what doesn't, and what happens if we switch just a couple components around, for example. And I think that's where you're going to get the most out of your dreams, is by seeing them in that way, where you see it as an experiment. Just because you didn't have a lucid dream that night, for example, doesn't mean you failed. Look at the recipe, look at the process, and what can you experiment with to get a different result. And that's where I find my passion with this work, especially with these really, really sacred experiences that people sometimes have through dreams, or out-of-body experiences. Just where that comes from is what fascinates me. And why the dream state is used for this, like, really sacred, beautiful information, like information coming from past loved ones, for example. It's just, the dream state has so much power, and it is used to bring us so much insight. And I'm curious why, you know? So these are some of the benefits that I feel like I have gotten from dreaming and lucid dreaming. And I would love to hear about what you guys have gotten. What are some of your personal benefits for dreaming and lucid dreaming? I would love, love, love to hear about that. Okay. Let us move on. Different ways to work with your dreams. We're going to talk about it. Okay. So everyone thinks, not everybody, but I feel like a lot of people think that there's only a couple ways to work with your dreams. Like, dream work means lucid dreaming, for example, or working with my dreams means trying to, like, decode the symbolism of my dreams. Those things could totally be true, but that doesn't mean that that's all that dream work is. I'm going to go over some different ways that you can use dream work either together, or, you know, just to play around with, except the first one is something I recommend doing no matter what. Who can guess? I talk about this so much on my main channel, and it is the one thing that I say is non-negotiable. It is something everybody should be doing to not only connect with dream work, but to understand kind of what's going on beneath the surface. And that is dream journaling. Your dream journal is a memory building tool. Your dream journal is going to do so much for you. Not only help you keep track of your dreams, but it's going to help you spot patterns in your dreams. It's going to help you spot moments you could have gotten lucid. It's going to help you understand the symbolism within your content. Bingo, Michael, that's exactly it. Dream journaling, and it's going to help you build memory over time as well. So it's, a lot of people say, well, if I'm not, like, let's say that you're not remembering your dreams. A lot of people think it's counterintuitive to start dream journaling when you're not remembering your dreams. But what if I told you taking on dream journaling is actually what's going to help you remember your dreams. So how to use your dream journal to start to build your recall is it's simple. You're just going to practice using it as soon as you wake up in the morning before you get out of bed. This is when our dream content is the freshest. You'll notice if you decide to write down your dream later and you get out of bed and you start your day, you may totally forget your dreams and not remember them at all. That's because when we are sleeping, our subconscious mind is kind of wide open, our conscious mind is more turned off, right? And so we have access to these memories, our dreams, and that is also why if you're ever in bed, like about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden you remember, oh my gosh, I forgot to call this one person, or oh my gosh, I forgot to change this. It's because now the things that you've forgotten that went into your subconscious mind, now your subconscious mind is wide open. So you have this access back to these like memories or things that you meant to do that maybe have slipped your mind. So that's why that we can get random insight when we're sleeping, is because our subconscious mind is wide open. And that's also why we want to wake up more slowly, is to allow that subconscious mind to just hang out for a sec while we gather our dream content, while we take time to write in our dream journal. And the dream journal is very special because it also puts you into theta brainwaves. And so that helps you enter a meditative state. It helps you wake up more slowly. It is connected to your memory as well. So if you write in a paper journal, you're going to be able to recall more of your dreams. And again, if you are starting up a dream journal practice and you're not remembering any of your dreams right now, that's totally fine. All you want to do is write down what you remember. And even if it's not a dream, you want to write that down. So for example, let's say I wake up in the morning, I'm going to grab my dream journal on the side of my bed and I ask myself, do I remember any dreams? Do I remember being with anyone? Do I remember going anywhere? And you just want to kind of probe your brain with some questions, right? And if I don't remember anything, I'm either going to write down the last thing I do remember, like before I fell asleep. I'm going to write down if anything happened during the night. Maybe I was tossing and turning, or maybe I woke up to go to the bathroom. I'll write that in my dream journal as well. And if I don't remember anything at all, no worries, I'm just going to write, I didn't remember any dreams tonight. That shows your brain it's actually a priority to remember your dreams, and it's going to work harder each morning to have something for you to write down, especially if it knows you're going to pull out that dream journal and try to gather information from what happened. Your brain has three main jobs. It's to seek pleasure, reduce pain, and to save energy. And so how we come about certain habits or tasks throughout the day, our brain is determining what we think about it before it tries to help us accomplish that thing or keep us away from that thing. So if you're someone who associates dream journaling with a chore, it's painful, it's a waste of time, this and this and this, you're going to notice that your mind also supports you in that, and it's going to try to talk you out of dream journaling every morning. And so the way to combat this is to change how you talk and think about dream journaling. So talk about how excited you are to finally remember your dreams. I'm so looking forward to seeing what my dreams have to say to me tonight. I can't wait to see what I'm going to dream of in the morning. It immediately flips the script in your brain, and you're going to have more dream recall. You're going to have less resistance with writing down your dream journal, and it will just be more fun. And that's why we're doing this practice, is not only to get closer to ourselves, but also to have fun with it and see what there is to find within this practice. There's so much you're going to discover about yourself. I promise you it's a journey worth enjoying, and dream journaling is absolutely the first step. So dream journaling, I would definitely get a dream journal. It's going to be specific to your morning dream journal practice. So I wouldn't combine this dream journal with a to-do list and stuff like that. You want it to be one journal specifically for dream work in the morning. The next thing, a different way to work with your dreams. Again, dream journaling is something I recommend doing no matter what, but these are other things that you can add to that as well. Dream incubation. I call this dream planning, and it's basically using the time before sleep to plan out what you want to dream about. So it's kind of fun. We actually get to choose what we want to dream about. And again, there's going to be days where you don't influence your dreams at all, and there's going to be other days where you realize that what you wanted to dream about, you actually were able to dream about. Now, dream incubation is super fun because I've also made it into a little practice before bed. So I recommend having two journals. You're going to have your dream journal, which you're going to use in the mornings to report what happened, and you're going to have your dream planning journal, which is what you're going to use before bed to plan out the dreams that you want to have. So for example, I just make it a very simple process. I write the date of when I decide to create this plan, and then I write out the words plan, and then just a big like paragraph of what you want to experience in your dream. Do you want to have a normal dream? And what do you want that dream to look like? Do you want to have a lucid dream? What do you want to do once you realize you're dreaming? You're basically planning out the exact experience that you're looking to have and writing it out. Underneath, I recommend just drawing a little picture of it, even if it's just a little stick figure of like, hey, I'm dreaming, like whatever you chose for your dream plan. This is a way for your brain to be able to understand your request more deeply, because now it has your actual request in text, but also an image of what that experience could look like. So it's just going to help your brain create it. You'll have a more likelihood of experiencing it by physically drawing out a little piece of it as well. And then you're going to write out underneath either the affirmation you're going to repeat at night to hopefully bring this dream closer to you. So for example, if you want to dream of your grandmother, then maybe that would be your mantra that you fell asleep saying, I finally dreamt of my grandmother, or I am dreaming of my grandmother. Whatever you want to say, you're going to choose your mantra that you're going to fall asleep to. And then the last part underneath that, you're going to write down your results. How do you want to feel after this dream? What value did this dream bring to you? How do you want to feel in the morning? So you're basically walking yourself through the whole process. You're going to write down the plan. You're going to draw a picture of the plan. You're going to figure out what your mantra is as you're falling asleep, and then what the result of this experience is. And basically, you're just going to read through it, get it in your mind before bed, and then kind of fall asleep dreaming of that dream in imagination. So really creating that dream in imagination as you fall asleep. And you may wake up and realize that didn't happen. You know, your dream plan didn't happen. And there's no such thing as failing with this thing. It's something you review nightly, and then when the dream plan does happen, then you just flip the page and create a new one. So it's not something that's like designed for you to choose every single night and happen every single night. It's just whatever means the most to you to experience through your dreams right now, that's going to be what you refresh your mind with before sleep. Because there may be a time where you actually do spontaneously realize you're dreaming, but then you don't know what to do because there's so many options, but you didn't create a plan, and then you can wake up abruptly. I can't tell you how many times that has happened, not only to me, but other people that have talked to me about it. And so this dream plan is also a way to kind of make sure you always have some sort of plan, regardless of what happens at night, whether, you know, it's an out-of-body experience, it's a dream or a lucid dream. You kind of have an idea of what your intention was if you get the opportunity to fulfill it. So that's exactly what you want to do. So again, dream planning journal before bed, just reviewing it, and then in the morning you're going to use your dream journal and report anything that happened. The next way to work with your dreams is through dream symbolism. Our subconscious mind uses our specific dream symbols to communicate with us. Maybe you don't really have a great relationship with your mom, unfortunately. And so maybe if she shows up in your dreams, that represents a part of your inner child, or it represents something specific to you. We want to look at our meaning that we have behind the symbols showing up in our dreams, because that's going to show us really what our subconscious mind is trying to say. I found that there is 3 main pieces to decoding your personal dream, and we kind of touched on this before, but it's looking at the theme of your dream, the emotions that are present in your dream, and any unique symbols in your dream. So again, like maybe you dreamt of your childhood cat, maybe you dreamt of a blanket that you had when you were little. That might not have a specific meaning to someone else who sees it, but for you, it means something very particular. That's how the subconscious mind speaks to you. It's very symbolic. It's in images, it's through emotion, it's through storytelling. So you're going to look at the actual story of your dream and replace the little symbolisms and meanings that you know are present in your dream, right? And you can start to see a story. And you can ask yourself, once you figure out what the theme is, what the emotions are, and what the symbols are that are popping up in your dreams, you can ask yourself how this relates to your current life or what you've already been through, or potentially something connected to the future, if that makes sense for you. But usually the theme and the emotions kind of let us know what time in our life it's relating to, and then the actual story is what shows us like what the actual message is. And so it's super, super cool. I find that there is symbolism in any dream that we have somehow, some way. I've found that even the weather means something. The clothing that you're wearing in your dreams. Have you ever paid attention to the clothes that you're wearing in your own dreams? I notice a lot of times, I've had a lot of dreams. I was a very punk kid in school. I had really dark hair. I wore skinny jeans and band t-shirts, and I had crazy makeup, and I tried all of these different things, and I sometimes I dream a lot in that version of myself. So it's kind of interesting. See if you can pay attention next time to the clothing that you're wearing in the dream, or even the weather, and make sure to write these little important pieces down if they seem important to you in your dream journal, because whatever you write down in your dream journal, you can go back and actually work with to decode, to look at patterns, to look for lucid dreaming opportunities. Again, your dream journal can be used for so much. Another way to work with your dreams is through liminal dreaming / yoga nidra. And really what liminal dreaming is it's becoming conscious on the edges of sleep. So have you ever been falling asleep and all of a sudden you start to see colors and flashes of light and dream images? Maybe your thoughts start to get a little bit confusing as you're falling asleep. This is because your physical body is about to fall asleep and you're entering what's called the liminal state. Liminal really means in between. So you're in between awake and asleep. If you can hover in this area for an extended amount of time, instead of just allowing yourself to fall asleep, if you can anchor your awareness even just slightly as you go deeper and deeper into the state, you can start dreaming while awake. You'll experience dreams outside of REM sleep, and they're super cool. They don't really have a storyline like REM dreams do, but it's really beautiful for creativity and things like that, and processing emotion, because we're conscious, right? But we're also in the subconscious. And so it's a really cool state where we can access memory and information from the dream state, but we can also interpret it consciously in the moment because we are awake, kind of just relaxing into the state. And so liminal dreaming can be used for the same stuff that lucid dreaming can, but also completely different experiences too. And if you can learn how to liminal dream, and it's really just like, if you're someone that falls asleep when you're meditating, for example, it would just be to see how long you can stay awake. That's really this practice. And eventually you're going to notice you can stay awake longer and longer and longer, but you also start to notice weird things like your physical body falling asleep and getting heavier and tingles, and there will be sensations that let you know, oh, your physical body is falling asleep. And that's the state where we can really use for our lucid dream techniques, our out-of-body experiences, and exploring deeper altered states of consciousness than just lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. So very, very cool. It's something that anybody can do, and I promise you it is like one of the most potent skills that you can learn for all of this type of work. Okay, the other type of a way that you can work with your dreams is through lucid dreaming / lucid living. The reason why I put these together is because I believe that lucid dreaming is a lifestyle. I believe that lucid dreaming really leads us to being more conscious beings, because it requires little subtle changes in how we operate in reality. So for example, there's two different types of ways you can lucid dream. You can lucid dream using an actual induction technique, and that is where you actually lay down to go do a technique and you can induce a lucid dream right there. I like to do the more indirect methods, and that's where you create habits that support lucid dreaming so that you have habitual lucid dreams. So you're not relying on the one-off technique. You've created a mind that is so similar to how you think when you're dreaming that it leads you to realize when you're dreaming, when you're actually dreaming. That is where I think it's most efficient to learn how to lucid dream. So basically, how this works is our habits our habits, things that are very, very familiar to us during our day, they'll start to appear in our dreams. You might notice if you work all the time, for example, maybe you dream that you're at work a lot too. So we can actually use this to our advantage. The reason why we all don't know that we're dreaming all the time is because we assume that we're awake, right? Like right now, I bet you also assume that you're awake. Like, are you awake or dreaming right now? If you really had to decide. And I bet you pretty quickly you decide, oh, I'm awake. But how do you know? Because you also think that you're awake when you're dreaming, but you're actually dreaming. So how do you actually know that you're awake right now? What actually tells you that what you're experiencing is real? Once we start to think like this, we're going to start thinking like this when we're dreaming without even trying. The only reason that you assume that you're awake when you're dreaming is because you've always assumed you're awake. That's like a normal, that's just a normal part of being human. We always kind of assume that what we're experiencing is real. And so that's exactly why we dream that way. But you'll notice that once you start to switch how you perceive reality and just ask yourself questions throughout the day, how do I actually know that I'm awake right now? How is what I'm experiencing similar to my dreams? What would my dreaming self think right now if I just realized I was dreaming? You just want to start bridging the gap between dreams and waking reality. And once you start doing that, you will start to experience that merging process with how you think, feel, and act when you're actually dreaming. Now, there is something, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into it, called reality checks. And these are basically moments throughout the day where you check in if you're dreaming or not. With a habit of this, eventually you're going to start dreaming of doing that. Okay, it's time to check if I'm dreaming. And you will spontaneously, in the dream, check if you're dreaming, only to realize that you are dreaming. And that leads to a fully conscious lucid dream where you now are in the driver's seat and you are able to move around the dream as if it is a real experience and experience it with all of your senses as more, honestly, it feels more real than real life. If you haven't had a lucid dream yet, I am so excited for you because it's going to be the most mind-blowing experience you've ever had. But let's just say it's absolutely worth creating these little habits so we can create an easier lifestyle of lucid dreaming. Again, it really comes down to lucid living, and you'll see this too in Tibetan Buddhism, right? The practice of dream yoga and mindfulness meditation. It's such mindfulness and awareness is such a huge part of dreaming that if you live that way, you'll naturally dream that way. And so I think it's interesting. If you're curious more about this, I would definitely look into Tibetan Buddhism because a lot of their practices during the day support dreaming so much that they don't do induction techniques to get lucid. You know, they are conscious beings a lot of their life, and so they experience reality in the same way when they're dreaming, and we can all do that. You don't have to be a yogi meditating in the mountains to be able to learn how to consciously lucid dream and live a conscious life. There are several ways that we can all do that, but lucid living is a technique for lucid dreaming that I would give more energy to, aside to just like, okay, how to lucid dream in 5 minutes. Like, I promise you this is going to be a lot more sustainable, it's going to be a lot more consistent, and it's going to bring a lot more value to you as well, because it's showing you how to live more fully when you're awake also, and experience more of the magic and synchronicities that maybe we don't experience as much because we live in such a fast-paced world where we don't take as much time as we should to become conscious and mindful of what's happening. And so lucid dreaming really does lead you to living more lucidly, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. How did you get out of the nightmare dream cycles? So I think it was, well, I would always try waking myself up when I was little. And I remember doing that for a long time because I'd get so scared and I would just like try to wake myself up, just repeating like, Haley, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I remember one time I got so sick of waking up out of the dream. Like my nightmares would basically chase me out of my own dreams. And I remember I was like 9 or 10 around this time. And I almost woke myself up again when I was getting chased by something, but I was so stubborn after all of that, I just sat. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not leaving this dream. I'm staying right here because I was so sick feeling this fear and waking up like in panic and crying. So I just was just very stubborn one day, and I just remember not doing that. And what happened was really weird. I'm actually glad that you said that because I totally forgot about this. I started experimenting with this more when I was older, but I totally forgot that this happened when I was little. I just sat into the dream and didn't move at all. And then what was chasing me? I can't remember what it was, but it also stopped. And then it was this moment of just like the dream, like didn't know what to do because it was almost like I broke the dream. I like interrupted the storyline of the dream. And so it was like this weird buffer period. And then I think it just turned into another dream. I remember not waking up, but it's almost, if you've experienced dream chaining before, it's where like a dream ends and then it's black for a little bit, like you're in the void, and then it starts, and then the next dream starts. And then I remember I didn't really have a ton of nightmares consistently after that. So that's what's so cool about the dream state is a lot of the time, all that it takes is awareness, and the seeing is the doing. Once you become aware of something, it doesn't have as much power over you. And once I realized that I had the power to stay in my dream and be okay, I think that helped rewire my brain to not be as scared of the experience. And I just experienced so many scary things when I was little. And you know, those weird things that we experience, you know, as children that no adult would ever believe, but we know for sure that we weren't sleeping. I had so many experiences like that, you know, so it automatically sparked my curiosity, but having those nightmares eventually showed me that I have the power to interrupt them, which was kind of just a spontaneous thing because I was being stubborn and didn't want to leave the dream. But that's definitely, yeah, I would definitely try that if you get a chance. And then the last way to work with your dreams before we get into the next section, which is where to start, is meditation and altered states of consciousness. So just get really good at meditation. Get really good at meditation. Be really good at being in the witness consciousness and maintaining awareness as your body enters deeper and deeper relaxation. Eventually, you're going to experience some breakthroughs just from that. If you are dream journaling, okay, if you're just dream journaling every single day, you're setting your intentions before bed, and you're practicing on meditating as long as you can before you fall asleep, you will have spontaneous experiences. You will be able to enter REM sleep consciously, and I promise you, you will have some mind-blowing experiences that you didn't expect just from those little simple habits. And that's like taking out of a lot of the things I have listed here. It's just doing the absolute basics, and that would be enough to push you forward in your practice. You also talked about teas, THC/CBD a while back to help go to sleep. So I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because I also want to note that if you are someone who maybe isn't remembering a lot of your dreams right now, hello Shelby, how's it going? If you are someone who is not remembering your dreams right now, and you are someone who uses cannabis consistently, just keep in mind that THC suppresses REM sleep, so you actually go into deep sleep when you use cannabis. CBD is slightly, I think, less of an impact on your REM sleep, but cannabis in general can really affect our REM dreaming sleep because it relaxes the body and mind so much that it actually puts us into more deep sleep. So just keep in mind, if you're not remembering your dreams and you're doing all of the things, but you are using cannabis, that may be why. But there's a couple things you can do. There's something called REM Rebound, which as soon as you stop using whatever was suppressing your REM sleep, whether it was like a medication or cannabis, you know, after a couple days, you're going to get all of your dreams back that you were missing out on. And it's because once we are taking a substance or something that suppresses our REM sleep, our body basically just puts pause on our REM sleep until we stop using the substance. Sorry, I have to mute because my throat is a little dry. But our body basically puts a pause, and once we are not using that substance anymore, or we slow down on using that substance, whatever it may be, and REM sleep has an opportunity to come back in, you will notice you get your dreams back, and you can just start dream journaling immediately, and eventually the next couple days you will start to get more and more dream content. But CBD is, I think, less detrimental on your REM sleep than THC, but if you're looking for more of a sleep aid that is going to support your dreams, I definitely recommend Valerian root. Valerian root is a natural sleeping herb that is used for stress, anxiety, vivid dreams, and falling asleep quicker. I recommend taking 1 to 2 500 milligram tablets 1 to 2 hours before bed. For me, 2 tablets, it was almost too strong. I felt tired throughout the whole next day. Maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive to it, but test it out first, test out just with 1 tablet, like an hour before bed or so, and see how that affects you. And the reason why this is better than melatonin is because our body produces its own natural serotonin and melatonin. So when we take a melatonin supplement, sometimes that's so much melatonin in such a condensed capsule, and that could actually throw off our sleeping cycle. And so melatonin actually isn't for helping us get to sleep. It's meant to balance our sleeping cycle, especially if we have like lower melatonin or serotonin production. But since we create our own melatonin and serotonin production, I think it's more about learning to stimulate our own production than to take melatonin supplements. Because again, you may notice that your sleeping cycle does get interrupted if you take too much melatonin. You may wake up throughout the night. It may work for a little bit, but you may notice some inconsistencies with your sleeping cycle. So valerian root is a great way to kind of combat that, and then you can just focus on creating more serotonin during the day, because our body converts our natural serotonin production into melatonin. And so if you get more sunlight during the day, if you really have a really nourishing day, honestly, and your body will be ready for bed. You will feel tired by the time you're supposed to go to bed. Your dreams will be more balanced. Your REM cycles will be more balanced. And really, I would just look up ways to increase your natural serotonin production, and that will naturally help you with sleep. But again, we can totally talk all about sleep sometime, and different ways to encourage better sleep, because our sleep it controls the quality of our life, right? If we aren't sleeping well, we're not going to be functioning well. We're not going to be able to make the most out of our day. And so I would find ways to balance that sleep and wake cycle, and that will really help you during the day and night. Okay, let's see. H2O break, yes. And again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's so good to see you and to spend some time with you. Oh, by the way, I heard someone mention this. Some people don't like to sleep with headphones or anything like that to go to sleep, obviously, because it can be mad uncomfortable. So in my description, I actually am an affiliate for something called Sleep Phones, and it's basically a Bluetooth like sleeping band. So you can listen to your music or binaural beats or whatever it may be uninterrupted all night without the discomfort. And there's also an option to plug them in as well. So I think it's kind of cool, that might be something. I should take those camping. That'd probably be so relaxing. Camping. So it is valerian root. So I'll go ahead and put it in the comments. Yep, valerian root, and you can find it on Amazon, and you can also look into some of the effects of valerian. Again, as far as side effects that you may experience, if you're not used to it, just like a lot of medications, you may experience headaches. I've never experienced that, and I'm like super sensitive to basically everything. But the main thing I experienced was feeling like super tired the next day from taking 2 capsules. So now I just take 1 capsule an hour or 2 before bed. And again, I don't even need to take them every night now, but if I could tell there's going to be a night where I won't be able to sleep very well, then I'll go ahead and take one before I get in bed. Okay, where to start with your dream work. So this is the thing that I recommend, because again, your brain has 3 jobs: to seek pleasure, reduce pain, and to save energy. You need to convince your brain that dreaming is good. You need to convince your brain that dreaming is valuable to you, because again, if your brain thinks that dreaming is a waste of time, you're going to notice that you don't really remember dreams. You're going to have tons of thoughts trying to convince you out of dream journaling, and it's because of the meaning that your brain thinks you have around dreaming. So just notice if you are procrastinating some parts of your practice, it may be because there's some piece that your brain's a little bit too stressed out or overwhelmed about. And so we just want to find those pain points so we can create a fun, peaceful practice. But the first thing I recommend with starting your dream work is to find your why, your excitement, or your passion for dream work. Why do you care about dreaming? Is it a specific experience you want to have? Do you want to connect with your grandmother who's passed away? Where's your excitement in dream work? What are you excited to discover within your dream work practice? What are you excited to discover about yourself? Really tap in to why this practice means a lot to you. Where is your passion rooted within dream work? Or what do you think your passion will be in dream work? How do you think dream work can help you discover your passion? All of these are important to dive into. So just dive a little bit into your why, your excitement, or your passion for dream work. The next way to start, the next thing to start with, once you gain clarity on why you want to start dream work, again, I would not skip that part because that's going to be your anchor for when you're experiencing a dry spell with dreaming. Whether you have an uncomfortable experience, whether you just don't feel motivated or inspired, your why, your excitement, your passion, that's going to be your anchor for your practice. The second thing I recommend as far as how to start with dream work is to start setting an intention before you fall asleep to remember your dreams. You'll actually be so surprised at how well this works. I've had dry spells. That's just so part of the normal dream work practice, by the way. But as soon as you fall asleep with an intention, even if it's to have a specific type of dream or to feel a certain way when you wake up, it is so insane how well this actually works. So before bed, my favorite dream recall affirmation is, "Tonight, I'll remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall." Do you get it from the clinic? So Valaran Root is actually a natural sleeping aid that you can get online. It's just a natural herb, so you don't have to go anywhere to get it. You can actually just get it online. And that's where I get mine, is just online. I did try one of those along with pillow speakers. Interesting, Michael. How did that work for you? So on top of finding your why, excitement or passion for dream work, setting an intention to remember your dreams before sleep, the next point that I recommend for starting with dream work is daily dream journaling. Again, if you don't even if you don't have anything to report, just make sure that you pick up your dream journal, you write the date and time, and you can even write no DR. No dream recall. You can make it as short of an entry that you want, but just practice consistency with it, and I promise you will find consistency in your dream work practice. There will be some times though that you have such a vivid dream that is like super long that you don't want to write down, or maybe you need to like consolidate it, or maybe you're late for work and you don't have time to write it down. That's when I would just record it in a voice message or like a Facebook message to yourself, and just record the entire dream, and then you can put it in later. That way you don't forget the dream, but now it can leave your head without you trying to circle it in your mind to remember it all day. And you don't really miss a beat in your dream journal. You can put it in later without really missing a day, even though you kind of just moved the time that you put it in, if that makes sense. Valaran Root you can get at any drugstore. Most grocery stores have them. Yeah, you don't have to go to a clinic or anything. Most grocery stores have them. You can get them online. Natural food stores and stuff have them as well. And they should be like right next to the melatonin, I feel like. But yeah, Valaran I feel like is much more supportive of actually helping you fall asleep than melatonin. All right. On top of finding your why, setting an intention before bed to remember your dreams, and daily dream journaling, I recommend doing a weekly dream study. This is basically, or at the end of the week, you go through your dream journal and you just kind of check in, see what's going on, see what's up, what are your dream signs? So what are the main things that showed up in your dreams that showed you that you were dreaming? This is where you can start to create a lucid dreaming practice, and we're going to get into this just in the very next slide. But dream signs is something you're going to be using your dream journal for a lot. This weekly dream study can be, again, looking for dream signs, uncovering dream symbolism, spotting patterns, setting goals for your dreams, what went well this last week with my Dreamwork practice, and what do I want to try this next week. Again, this is a time where you can run your own experiments. You can really start to cultivate a strong Dreamwork practice just by looking at what's already happened this past week and setting an intention for this upcoming week. So those are super easy ways that you can start working with Dreamwork. So now let's get into the last portion, which is lucid dreaming. So what is lucid dreaming? Well, simply a lucid dream is a dream in which you know that you're dreaming as the dream is happening. This is an experience where you're asleep, sleeping in bed, you have this aha moment where you realize that what you're experiencing is a dream. Some dreams can start off lucid, but usually it's some sort of point in the dream in which you become lucid. And let's talk about how this works. How do we get lucid in the dream? What causes that? Well, when we get lucid in a dream, what's actually happening is the part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex becomes activated suddenly. And this part of our brain is associated with our sense of self, our critical thinking, our decision making. And so when this part of our brain awakens, it's our waking life memory that now becomes activated in the dream. So if my prefrontal cortex was not activated, then maybe I would be in a dream and I would dream that I'm like the queen of Egypt or England or something, and I actually believe it, right? That's an example of my prefrontal cortex being turned off. But once it becomes activated in the dream, I remember like my waking memory, like how my life is right now. That is carried into the dream, and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dreaming! I can't wait to wake up until chance." That would be an example of my prefrontal cortex being activated because I have access to my conscious mind information. So we can actually learn to activate this part of our brain more. Of course, it can be spontaneous. Maybe you have had a spontaneous lucid dream where you suddenly just realize, I've never been to this country. This is for sure a dream, you know? It's just learning to question and be more critical of our surroundings. And once we start to do that, it starts to happen more in our dreams. So the way that you can use your prefrontal cortex more during the day is by checking in with your sense of self. Where am I? How did I get here? What's going on? You know, just do a little reality check. You want to ask yourself some questions to determine, how do I actually know that I'm awake right now? Is there anything odd or weird about what I'm experiencing right now? And this is automatically going to start turning on the critical part of your brain, and this is what actually allows you to get lucid. So if you use this more during the day, even if you set an alarm on your phone to ask it how you know you're dreaming, you know, a few times a day, you will start to do that in your dream without even trying. And as soon as you realize you're dreaming, that's when your sense of self turns on. Now you're literally in the avatar of your dream self and have full control and influence over what you do next. So it all comes down to helping our dream self wake up in the dream, right? And so we can do that by daily practice of activating this prefrontal cortex more often. Are you into Jungian? I haven't read any of his books for a long time, but yes, I love his take on dreams and the shadow. I love that. Okay, now I want to go over a few different things that you can do to train your brain for lucidity. We've already talked a little bit about it. We've talked about how to create a strong Dreamwork practice, all of the different things that you can do for your Dreamwork practice, and now this is really the most important things that I recommend for training your brain to become spontaneously lucid. Dream journal study. So we already talked about this. Make sure you're dream journaling every single day. But then when you're looking back at your dream journal, these are called dream signs. It's basically a sign that you're dreaming. And the more you become conscious of signs that you're dreaming after you dreamt them, you're going to train your brain to be conscious of dream signs as you run into them when you're dreaming, and that will allow you to get lucid. So for example, I dream that I am in school all of the time. Seriously, all the time. And because I'm not in school in waking life, once I wake up, I know that that's a dream, right? So now, because I know that I'm dreaming of school more often in my dreams, I want to try to trigger myself to wake up as soon as I see the school in my dreams. Well, how would I do that? Well, since we're using our daily practice to influence our dream self, I want to find a way to create a connection during waking life of school equals check if you're dreaming, right? That's the connection we want to make. That way, anytime my dream self is in a school, I automatically become aware of that connection of, oh, I'm in a school, it's time to check if I'm dreaming. So this is where your dream journal is super, super important because it shows you the patterns and opportunities that you can actually get lucid in. So a dream sign can be anything. It could be an actual place, like going into school. A dream sign could be a loved one who's passed away, or maybe someone like a celebrity you've never met is showing up in your dreams. That's clearly a dream sign, right? Because it's a sign that you're dreaming. So we're really just looking for those like odd occurrences that show us, oh, this is clearly a dream because it's not a part of my waking reality. And I just underline these after I have my dream. I'll write my dream down and then I'll just go through and underline my dream signs. That way at the end of the week, when I go back and look through my dream journal, I can easily spot my dream signs and see how many times I dreamt of this one thing. And that will show me, okay, since I'm dreaming of this every night, I need to start thinking of this one thing and tying dreaming more into it, or the idea of, okay, it's time to check if I'm dreaming. So I hope that makes sense, but that is the best way to start to get lucid spontaneously from your own dream content. So it really like feeds itself once you write your dreams down. So that is an incredible practice for your dream journal, is to look for lucid dreaming opportunities. Again, these are dream signs. I'm going to go through really fast the different types of dream signs you can experience. The first one is a thematic dream sign. So the theme, that's exactly what my school dream is, right? The theme is that I'm in school, and maybe sometimes, a lot of the time it's like my first day at school, but whatever the case may be, the theme is that I'm in school. So that's a thematic dream sign, right? The next one is an anomalous dream sign. So this is like a weird off anomaly. Maybe you see a talking dog or flying cars or something that seems impossible for this reality, right? That's going to be an anomalous dream sign. So that's not necessarily like the theme that's weird or anything like that. It's just like a really weird dream-like thing that clearly isn't a part of your waking reality, right? The last one is a recurring dream sign. So this is just something that you dream about consistently, and it can be something super normal. Like maybe you, for example, my school dream is a recurring dream sign. It's a recurring thematic dream sign because the theme of the dream is what tells me I'm dreaming, and it reoccurs every single week several times. So I know that it is a dream sign. And now, to train myself to get lucid anytime I dream that I'm in a school, my job in waking life now is anytime I see a school, anytime I go past a school, if I had to go into a school for whatever reason, I would check if I'm dreaming, because clearly being like interacting with the school at all is so a part of my dream world that it would be weird if it occurred like that in my waking life, right? So I want to start checking if I'm dreaming and really thinking that I could be dreaming at any time, especially when I run into my dream signs. And if you start assuming that you could be dreaming at any time, you're going to start dreaming of assuming that you could be lucid or dreaming at any time, and that will allow you to be way more aware of the weird one-off things that happen in your dreams. So again, look for your type of dream sign, name what type of dream sign is it, like really gain some clarity on the things you're dreaming about, and then find a way to create more awareness around it when you're awake. Because again, you will train your dream self to become aware in the same way that you take time to do in the waking life. Like how you operate in the waking state, you're teaching your dream self to operate that way as well. So if you want your dream self to wake up, you want your dream self to realize that they're dreaming because like there's so many weird things happening around them, and you're like, please, like, wake up. If you want your dream self to wake up, you need to show it what that looks like. You need to stop throughout the day and ask the questions you want your dream self to ask. You need to learn to think in the way you want your dream self to think. You need to learn to look at your environment in the way you want your dream self to look. And that's what I mean by lucid living. It, like, this practice starts to cultivate living a more aware and lucid life, and it allows you to experience so much more than just what it actually gets you when you're lucid dreaming. Again, we already talked a little bit about reality checks, but there's physical checks that you can do to determine if you're awake or dreaming. So if you've seen Inception, for example, they have that spinning top to determine if they are dreaming or not. If the spinning top stops spinning, then they're clearly awake. And if it keeps going and going and going, they must be dreaming. It's the exact same thing, except we're not guaranteed to have a spinning top in our dreams, right? So we can't guarantee we'll be able to do that reality check every time. But you should have your hands. So throughout the day, as a part of your awareness practice, just look at your hands. Look at the fine lines of your hands, look at your fingers, count your fingers, make sure that they're your hands. Look away, look back, is it still your hand? Because sometimes the dream can change things in a split second. And so you really want to get good at observing and critically analyzing your environment during the day. And your hand is a great one, because you should always have your hand with you. If you ever go to do a reality check in a dream, and you don't have your hand for whatever reason, that in itself is probably a sign that you're dreaming. So throughout the day, just get in the habit of looking at your hands, counting your fingers, and you will eventually notice you'll just be in a dream one day and you'll pull out your hand to start counting your fingers for a reality check. The more you do it in waking life, it will show up in your dreams. Now, of course, if your hands look the same, and even when you look away and look back and they seem solid, it's a pretty good chance that you're awake. But you'll notice that once this starts to show up in your dreams, you'll go to pull out your hand to do a reality check and you'll have like 20 fingers. They'll be someone else's hand. It will be something completely different. And this is why it's one of my favorite reality checks for lucid dreaming, is because it's eventually becomes so easy to realize when something's off, because we know what our hands look like, right? Like, you know what the lines on your hands look like. You know what to expect when you look at your hand, right? So when it looks different in the dream, it should tell you immediately, oh, I'm dreaming. Like, you get so excited once you do a reality check in a dream and it actually works. But don't let just this one reality check stop you. There are so many ways to check your reality. For example, I could just use this as a reality check. Okay, well, gravity seems to be working the same, so maybe I'm dreaming, maybe I'm not, right? You could just test things in your environment. Another good one is like trying to poke your finger through your palm. Of course, if we're awake, this is not going to work. And if it did, I don't even know, that'd be very weird, very trippy. But we're used to this result, right? Our hands appear solid. It seems very real. Like, even if I like close my eyes, look away, even if I imagine that my hand's going to stretch out, it still doesn't. Like, no matter what I do, I can't influence a different result, right? And we really want to take our reality checks seriously when we do them, because whatever we expect and intend to happen, like, kind of happens, like, in the dream state. Like, if you expect to pull your finger and it like stretch out your hand, like, it will actually happen if you have strong enough intention in the dream. So if it's not working when you're awake, that's probably a good sign that you're awake, right? So I hope I'm showing you kind of really what it comes down to. You're really just trying to spot the differences in the results in your reality checks to determine if you're dreaming or awake. And people ask, like, well, how do I get my reality checks to show up in my dreams? It happens spontaneously when you make it a habit in waking life. Because like we talked about, your habits will eventually show up in your dreams. So if you make a reality check part of your daily habit, then it's going to show up in your dreams. I'm going to share something with you guys that I think will be very valuable to you, because this really helped me with reality checks. Have you ever had a dream where you woke up? Have you ever had a dream where you actually thought you woke up out of bed and you go to get ready for the day just to wake up in bed again? Have you ever had a dream where you thought that you actually woke up but you didn't? This is called a false awakening, and it's a type of dream that we can have where we think that we actually woke up but we didn't. There's a way that you can turn all of these into lucid dreams. So you know how I told you as a part of your morning routine to write down in your dream journal? Well, if you have these types of dreams, these false awakenings, and you want to use them for lucid dreams, before you write your dreams down in the morning, check your hand. Wake up, check your hand and count your fingers and make sure that you have 5 fingers. And just get in the habit of doing that before you write your dreams down. Because I used to have false awakenings all the time, and I remember I would wake up in my dream to try to write my dream down, but in the dream, like, things do not work the same. And so, like, I couldn't even hold the pen. Like, what I was writing was being erased. I, like, was so confused why it was so hard to write my dream journal. And after I had that dream, I was like, oh my gosh, there has to be a way that I can somehow get myself to think about dreams as soon as I wake up. That way, if I ever have a dream that I'm waking up, I'll automatically think about dreams first, and that will help me realize I'm dreaming. So doing a reality check before you even grab your dream journal is going to help you already check in to make sure that you're in the state that you think that you're in, and then you can grab your dream journal. So that way, you get a cool little lucid dream out of it before you actually wake up. So the timing of when you do your reality checks is really important, as you can see, because you really want it to kind of mirror what is happening in your dream world. Again, if I'm like spending all my time at school, then in waking life, that's going to be the main place that I want to do a reality check. Is maybe I look up a picture of a school, and then I just start training myself to do a reality check, right? If you don't run into a school as often as you think you will during the day, there's still ways to create this habit. And that's one way, is pull up a picture of your dream sign and start to do a reality check anytime that you see it. Anytime that you think of your dream sign throughout the day, just randomly, hurry and do a reality check. Because there's nothing more frustrating than getting in the habit of pushing away your reality checks or delaying them, because then you'll start doing that in your dreams. It was so painful when I created a habit of this. I used to have a habit of, like, anytime my brain told me, okay, do a reality check, I'd be like, okay, right after I wash this dish, or right after I do this thing. And then that started happening in the dream. I would be dreaming, and my brain would be like, okay, it's time to check if you're dreaming. And I'll be like, one sec, I gotta go do this thing or whatever with my friend. And then I almost got lucid, but I made such a strong habit of pushing off my reality checks that it actually started to happen in my dream. And I was like, oh my gosh. So your dream world will really show you where you're at. Your dreams will show you what patterns you're experiencing the most, what your biggest dream signs are, and how to actually get lucid. You can tell by observing your dreaming self. You can see what we slightly need to change in order to create a different result. So the next thing to train your brain for lucidity, again, it's dream journal study at the end of the week, reality check / lucid living. And the third one is using liminal dreaming for training. We talked about this, but liminal dreaming is using the state between awake and asleep to maintain awareness. You're basically just relaxing and keeping your mind aware. And what's cool about liminal dreaming is the goal is to not fall asleep. So you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to videos, you can listen to audiobooks, and you can just have your eyes closed and you just really relax. Eventually, during your relaxation, you're going to start seeing those flashes of light and moving colors, and that's hypnagogia, and that's your sign that your body is falling asleep. Your job, once you enter that state, is just to see if you can anchor awareness through the things you're listening to or whatever, to still just maintain awareness as your body falls deeper and deeper into sleep. And by practicing liminal dreaming, you're going to learn how to dream outside of sleep. So dreaming on the edges of sleep, you're going to learn how to carry your awareness into the state of sleep. And it's going to make your lucid dream techniques way easier, your out of body techniques way easier. And it's going to allow you to experience some crazy stuff like sleep yoga. It is possible to become conscious in deep dreamless sleep. And liminal dreaming, practicing awareness in these different states of consciousness, really allows us to have more skill in staying consciously aware as we go deeper into these experiences. I hope that makes sense. All right, and number 4 is deepening meditation. So this kind of goes along with liminal dreaming. The better you get at meditating, the better you're naturally going to get at the techniques that you do for lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences. And meditation's a huge part of these techniques that we do for lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences anyways. So if you notice when you try to meditate, your mind wanders a lot, you have a hard time focusing, then that's exactly where your work is. And liminal dreaming can help you with that because it does help relax the mind so much where there's not constant feedback as you're relaxing. So finding ways to combine liminal dreaming and meditation, they're basically one and the same in so many ways, but that will really help with lucid dreaming and dream work in general. The last thing I have for you guys is to train your brain for lucidity, induction techniques. That's the last slide that I have, and really I just wanted to give you guys a couple induction techniques that you can play with in your own way. So really what makes a good lucid dreaming induction technique is making sure that you time it correctly, making sure that you are relaxed enough, and really getting clear on the method that you're doing, because a lot of the lucid dreaming techniques, they can happen after you've already fallen asleep. But there's some techniques that require you to stay consciously aware into the liminal state to carry yourself into lucidity. So it is important to know there's several different ways to induce a lucid dream. But if you're looking for induction techniques, these are going to be the most popular for you. So first, let's talk about wake back to bed, because that's a super, super easy one. And this technique really involves waking up during REM sleep, setting an intention to lucid dream, and going back to bed. It really can be that easy. A lot of the time with lucid dreaming techniques, what's really important is creating just a spark more of lucidity or awareness. When we are having normal non-lucid dreams, there just isn't enough awareness in our dreams. So sometimes waking up during REM sleep and going back to bed with an intention is enough to allow you to go back into your next dream, but consciously. Or maybe you spontaneously get lucid at some point in that next dream. But it increases the likelihood that your next dream will be lucid by waking up during REM sleep, setting an intention, or falling asleep with the daydream or imagination of the dream that you want to have. Super, super easy technique. And again, the most important part is targeting REM sleep. REM sleep happens every 90 minutes of our sleeping cycle, and these REM periods get longer and longer as the night progresses. So the longer you sleep, the more dreams that you're going to have. And if you're wanting to wake up during your REM sleep, I recommend waking up no sooner than your 6-hour sleep mark. This is one of your longest REM periods, and it's going to give you the most success to actually get lucid during this REM period. Don't use the before ones, really. Use 6 hours or after. Again, if REM sleep occurs every 90 minutes, you'll just want to use your calculator to determine how late you actually want to wake up in. Again, I wouldn't try waking up after like 3 hours or something, because you're not going to be in enough REM sleep to even be conscious in a dream, let alone dream at all. And the first half of your sleep is primarily deep sleep, so we really want to allow our body to get all of the deep sleep that it needs before we try to wake up for REM sleep. So just keep in mind that the first half of your sleeping cycle is primarily deep sleep, and the second half of your sleep cycle is primarily REM sleep. So that's where you want to aim for your techniques. So again, wake back to bed is literally how it sounds. Wake up in REM sleep, set an intention, or write down the dream that you had, and then set an intention for your next dream and fall asleep with that intention. This next one is even easier. It's called MILD. It stands for Mnemonic Induced Lucid Dreaming, and basically you're going to wake up again in REM sleep, or if you wake up from a dream, that's also a sign that you're in REM sleep. So if you wake up right out of a dream, you can do this technique right then. You basically want to grab your dream journal and write down the last dream that you remember. It could be the one that you just barely had, or if you didn't remember a dream, just look at your last dream journal entry. Before you lay back down and go back to sleep, you want to study this dream. Again, it's going to be the last dream that was in your dream journal. You want to read through it so many times that you can imagine the story in your head. And again, we want this to be a story that we can actually imagine as we're falling asleep. Once you write that dream down, once you write dream down that you just had and you read through your last entry a few times and it feels pretty fresh in your mind, you're going to lay down and imagine this dream as if it's actually happening. You're going to use as much vivid detail as you can. The only difference now is at some point in your imagination, you're going to actually imagine that you got lucid. So that's the one thing that you're going to plant into your dream. And you're going to really focus on that in your visualization. How did you realize you were dreaming? How did you feel after you realized you were dreaming? What did you do after you realized you were dreaming? Again, my favorite way is to just imagine that I looked at I caught a glimpse of my hand and I had extra fingers and it caused me to realize I was dreaming, right? Again, your brain cannot determine the difference between something you're imagining, something you're dreaming, and something that's actually happening. So when you imagine that you're actually getting lucid in this visualization, your brain believes that you actually got lucid. And it's interesting how much easier this actually makes it to have a lucid dream after. But mild is a non-direct lucid dream technique because you do fall asleep, just like with the last technique, just with an intention in mind. But don't underestimate them because they're very easy techniques to do. And if you can nail down the timing and get really good at your visualization skills, you will definitely be able to rely on some of these techniques. So again, you're just imagining that dream with as much vivid detail and then just implanting somewhere where you realize that you're dreaming and then really looking at what that looks and feels like. And then just replay your dream as slowly and as vividly as you can until you fall asleep, and then notice what dreams you have after that. Might be interesting. This next one is a direct method. So this one is a more challenging method. This is the method you hear about probably the most, and it is because it's a very trippy method. It's very cool, but it takes some time to get right. So don't be upset if this doesn't work the first time. This method is called wild or wake-induced lucid dream, and it's when you go directly from a waking state like we are right now into the dream. Now, my first I had, when I was 14, I induced a wild on accident. I remember I had to go to bed early or so. I was probably younger than that. I remember having to go to bed early and I couldn't sleep. And so I just laid in bed with my eyes closed for a long time. And I was just thinking, I wasn't even thinking anything of it. I didn't even realize it, but I accessed the hypnagogic state because I started to see all these colors and flashes of light, and I was used to all that stuff because I didn't know what it was, but it was stuff I played with a lot when I was little under my closed eyes. And I found that if I move my eyeballs under my closed eyes, it will change the way that the colors kind of fall and melt under my closed eyes. And so this was something I always played with when I was little. But in this one experience, I just remember not even thinking much about it, and all of a sudden I just feel my body get super heavy. I feel this tingling all over my body, and all of a sudden I hear the sound of water. What? Hello? What's going on? I had no idea what was going on, and I just started to hear water and this rocking, and I entered a lucid dream, but my visual part of it came very last. So I was just laying in bed, staring at the blackness. I went through hypnagogia without even realizing it. And then I entered a dream consciously. I can't tell you how long it took. I don't know anything about that. My eyes were just closed and I knew that I was in a dream after I started hearing the water and felt the rocking of the boat. And then my eyes opened in the dream. And I was just on this tiny little canoe, in this little cove. It looked like Bahamas or something. It was super white sand. I was all by myself, and I remember, whoa, so if this is a dream, then I can create anything that I want to happen, right? And I just remember holding out my hand and thinking about a cupcake, and a cupcake immediately manifesting in my hand. I actually have a video of this on my main channel. But yeah, it was such a trippy experience. So just know that these experiences, they can surprise you randomly. If you don't think that they're working, just keep sticking with it and they will surprise you. So even though this is considered the most difficult technique, I did it on accident my first time. So that shows you that if the timing is right and the setting is right, things can happen, right? So again, for wild, you either enter this from a completely wakeful state, which I think is going to be way harder. I personally recommend like doing this like a couple hours after you already wake up for the day. That way you're still more relaxed, but you're not like so stimulated, like you just went for a run, you just ate food, like you're in the middle of your day, you're ready to go. It's like kind of you're awake, you're rested, but you haven't had an entire day of stimulation. You know, that is the best time, I think, for this technique. Again, like 2 hours after you normally wake up. Or if you take a nap during the day sometime, after the nap would be a great time. You can even time your nap for 90 minutes. So you're most likely in REM when you wake up from your nap, and then you can do this technique. Basically, you're using the power of liminal dreaming to enter this state. You're going to meditate. I like doing it on my back. I found way more success with this. It's also easier to just like kind of let go and just imagine that you're floating in space when you're on your back and your arms and legs are spread out instead of like being crunched up in the side. Like you're probably going to fall asleep way faster if you do that. So I would just lay on your back and just allow yourself to kind of dissociate with your physical body. Just imagine that you're floating or something. Like, to me, that's what I like to do. It makes me feel relaxed. It helps me enter a deeper state quicker. And I don't know, it's just peaceful. But whatever method you decide to do, you want to lay down, you want to completely relax your physical body, and you want to start allowing your physical body to deepen in relaxation and eventually to fall asleep. To help this process, I like to do a little bit of breath work. I do a little bit of breathing with my diaphragm, just some nice deep belly breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I just really allow each of my breaths to be really fresh, if that makes sense. Like, I start with an exhale so I can get out all stale, stagnant air, and then I expand my belly with a nice deep inhale, and I do a few of those. And then once you relax, your muscles feel way more relaxed. And so once I'm at that point, then I can just kind of close my eyes, kind of just focus on comfort. When you're doing wild, I wouldn't focus on trying to get a lucid dream to happen, trying to astral project, trying to do this, because it's going to create so much subconscious pressure that it's actually going to keep you away from that experience. So I would just focus on how relaxed you feel, how nice it is to have time where nothing is needed of you, but to just like lay and just like feel good. Like, focus on that, and you're going to notice you don't feel any pressure. Your brain is immediately going to relax into the state. Your thoughts are going to go quieter, because now that your brain knows that it doesn't need anything, or that you don't need anything directly from it, like its only job is to relax, it's going to believe what you say and it's going to relax, and it's going to make the process way easier. And then you're going to want to kind of just do what we talked about with liminal dreaming. You're just going to allow these colors, these images, these flashes of lights to create themselves. And again, the deeper you are in relaxation, the closer your physical body is to sleep, the more visuals you're going to experience. So that will kind of tell you where you're at in the process. And again, with wild, you're really watching your physical body fall asleep, and so you will experience some things that maybe you're not used to experiencing during the day, right? Like tingling, physical heaviness. When our body falls asleep, we don't need as much oxygen. And so you'll notice that your body, your muscles just kind of naturally relax. Our temperature drops too when our physical body falls asleep. So you might notice a wave of cold chills. These are all my little signs that I'm about to fall asleep. So the more that you do this process, you're going to observe how your physical body works in this experience, and you're going to start to be like, okay, yep, I just experienced that. That means there's probably like this long until I get here. You're going to start to figure out your process. But once you start to really see the colors, flashes of light, all of the liminal / hypnagogic imagery, that's when you're going to try to focus on creating a dream scene under your closed eyes. How vivid can you create this dream scene? Like, truly think of the colors, where you're at, the sounds. For me, I love like a wildflower meadow that's like elevated, and then it's like beachside as well. Like I have this very specific dream place that I imagine, and it's just this big wildflower meadow, and then all behind you it's just like forest, and then going down the hill it's just like beachside, and so you get a little bit of everything: the lush forest, the wildflower meadows where I just like lay down and watch the sky, the sound of the water. This is something that's super relaxing to me. I can imagine the smell of the flowers, the feeling of laying in the grass, the feeling of the wind on my skin, the feeling of the sunlight. I can even imagine the orange colors from the sunlight hitting my closed eyes. You know, you really want to create a really powerful dream scene because, again, your brain doesn't know that it's a dream. If you can imagine it vividly enough, this is how we can shift into a lucid dream consciously. It's the same process with an out-of-body experience. A lot of the techniques that I talk about involve like imagining physical movement, and that eventually your brain believes that that's what's actually happening, and you'll notice that your perception can all of a sudden switch to where you're imagining you're at in visualization. It's the craziest, trippiest stuff, guys. I swear it is the craziest things. But the key is allowing your physical body to enter a deep state of relaxation so your consciousness can be free to explore. That's really what it feels like. But once you really start to get this vivid visualization going and you're using all of your senses, you just want to keep going with that until it gets more and more and more real. And eventually you'll almost be like half in the dream, half out. Because like you'll still be like visualizing it, but then you'll like actually hear it in your physical environment for a second. And you'll notice this like trippy in-between state where you're like almost merging into the dream. And each time it will get easier and easier. You really are just trying to create such a realistic, vivid experience that your brain has no option but to believe it's actually happening. And that is easiest when the physical body is asleep, when the conscious mind is more turned off, and when we are anchoring that awareness into that more dreamy state. So, and again, these techniques are all things you can play around with. There's no set like, okay, textbook, you've got to do it this way. It's the only way it's going to work. That's what I love about dreaming is I can combine techniques. A lot of the techniques I like are like several techniques combined together. And a lot of the techniques that I teach are just ones that I created for myself that seem to work for me. So just have fun with your practice. Play around with things. Notice what works and find ways to recreate that or to experiment with it. And look at what doesn't work and see the little things that you can switch to test out that new result. You really just want to become a detective of your own dream world. And I promise you, once you learn to access these states, you are opening yourself up to an entirely new world that is going to help transform your life and the way that you think and dream and sleep and live. I promise you this work is just like, it's so special to me because it shows us the truth of who we are instead of who we believe that we are, who we think we are, who we think we have to be. It shows us the true magic and sacredness in our own human nature and how beautiful this experience is that we get to look at it from several different viewpoints, several different perceptions, from several different dimensions. I think it makes life so sweet to know that we can not only experience these states, but that they have so much value to offer us in our lives as well. So I really hope that you guys got something out of this. Rainforest, farmland, and the beach. Oh, that sounds amazing. Haley, go out to the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. You'll find that spot interesting. Yeah, I literally just moved to Washington 2 months ago. So I am super new here. Maybe, Michael, maybe that I literally created that place in my mind. What if I actually tapped into that spot in Washington? Oh my God. If I actually go there and it looks like what I imagine in my head, I'm going to freak out and I will let you know. I will keep you updated on that. But that is so crazy. I didn't even think of that. My gosh, what if this whole time I was imagining I was in Washington and didn't even know it, and now I'm actually here. How cool. All right, guys, I love you so much. Thank you guys so much for joining this workshop. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that it provided you value and gave you kind of a rough game plan that you can start playing with for your own Dreamwork practice. Again, I go live every single week on my main channel, The Lucid Mystic, so if you ever want to come hang out, share experiences, ask questions, whatever it may be, definitely come hang out with us over there. That's where I upload a lot more content nowadays too, which I'm very excited about, and I just barely started up my podcast again, To Lucidity and Beyond. So if you are interested in diving into the world of lucidity, out-of-body experiences, and beyond, then definitely check out my podcast. I'm so excited that it's back. All right, Eric, are you grabbing the the link up? Thank you so much. Eric is my mod on my main YouTube channel. So thank you, Eric, for joining us today on this second channel. I'm so grateful to have you here, and thank you so much for posting the link. This is going to be the link where you guys can find all of my resources. Again, I'm working on my website right now, so soon we'll have that up and going. But until then, you can find my projects on there, some of the courses I'm working on. I have a Patreon where I release exclusive content, and I'm always coming out with new things that I'm trying out, whether it's a program, whether now I'm uploading content onto an app. So I'm just exploring a few different things on ways to provide more value to you guys and help you get even closer to your dreams. So definitely check out that Linktree link to stay connected to the community, and I can't wait to see you guys on the main channel if you decide to come hang out too. I've always wondered who puts these wonderful videos up. Thank you so much for being here. I know we create daily tracks on this channel, and it took a little bit to before I launched this channel, it took a second to make sure that I could keep up with the work that I had planned for this channel, and just the responses. I love it. I'm so grateful that you guys like the music coming out on this channel. We work really hard on it, especially to keep releasing daily. Every single track is exclusively created and worked on by me and Mitcha. Every single animation and visual that you see on the videos is something that we created. You will not find them anywhere else, and so I am so grateful that you guys are enjoying what we're putting out, because this is my passion, is all of this work, and to have you guys along the ride with me just warms my heart up so much. So yeah, keep letting me know what you think about the music. Again, we release them in batches. We work on them in monthly batches, so we're always looking for new ways to innovate our music but still keep the same vibe, so your sleep isn't interrupted. And yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. So thank you so much. I love you all so much, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys in the future. So I'll see you on the main channel if you guys want to come hang out there this week. That's where we'll be. All right, guys, bye. Love you so much. Thanks again.